so it's kind of yucky out. It was really nice the last couple days. It's been really nice. I personally really love warm temperature, so it's been really nice for me being outside. And Joshua watching from Ghana, and it's 4:30 p.m. All right, that's a pretty decent time. I feel like I'm catching some of you guys pretty late though, so if that's the case, I apologize. Sharon, you just raised your hand. I wonder. But yes, the weather's been fairly nice in the last couple week or so. And I think I said in the last, like I've been saying in the last few webinars as well, is August is generally a pretty decent time to get here. If you guys like fall weather, you're really gonna enjoy it because the leaves are changing color. It will be a little chilly, so definitely have like at least some, not too light but not too thick of a jacket with you. But you're gonna have to like get stuff for the winter anyway. Solomon from Ghana, and it's 4 p.m. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining. Violet, who is my colleague that typically joins me, is not able to join me today, so you guys are stuck with me. I do see quite a few new names, so thank you so much for joining us on the session today. If you were curious about any of our older sessions that we've already had, you can always go to our official, and I almost said Instagram, our official YouTube page and rewatch our older lives if you wanted to, especially the visa prep ones. But today is a more fun-ish topic. We're talking about housing. Just out of curiosity as well, I'm curious to see how many of you guys already have a visa. If you want to let me know, that would be awesome. I'm just curious if you're still waiting for your visa, or if you've already gotten your visa, or if you're just waiting for a spot to open up. Let me know. Just curious while I get my screen sharing started. Okay, just fixing. All right, perfect. You guys should be able to see my screen now. Today, again, like I said, we're talking about housing, but the one thing I do want to mention too, though, is Tracy watching from Kenya, and it's 7 p.m. Hi, Tracy. Thank you for joining today. All right, so today we're talking about housing, so there's a lot of things that I'm gonna have to cover, so it's going to be most likely a little confusing if you've never had to get your own place before, if you've never signed a lease, if you don't know what a lease means. So I'm covering a lot of things today, so it's a lot of information. At any point, if you have questions, feel free to ask me as many questions as you need, because again, this is one of those things that can get a little tricky and a little confusing, you know, especially if you've always lived with your parents and it's your first time ever moving away and getting your own place, or if you're moving into the dorms, whatever the situation may be. I remember I was very confused the first time I obviously signed a lease. Hi, Michelle. Oh my gosh, it's so late for you. It's midnight. I'm so sorry. Well, thank you so much for joining. And Sharon, Hong Kong, also midnight. And parents, we have visa and dorm rooms approved. Yay! Remo from Nepal, and it's 10 p.m. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining, guys. This is very exciting. For those that don't know me, because I do see a lot of new names, my name is PJ Gurung. I'm the Assistant Director for Strategic Communications and Recruitment at the KIC. I've been in my role full-time for almost 2 years now, but I am a former international student from Nepal. So I actually started in Minnesota as an international student, like many of you. That was 10 years ago, so I've been in the US for a while. I completed both my undergraduate and my master's degree at MSU, so I've been in this system for a long time before thankfully, I was very lucky to get my current position as a full-time role, so I understand all of the questions and nervousness that comes with going abroad. So any questions you guys have, feel free to reach out. Most of you guys should also already have my WhatsApp number, so you guys can always message me after. Please do keep in mind though, is that sometimes it does take me a while to get back to WhatsApp messages. So please just be patient as well. With that, all that rambling aside, today we're talking about on-campus and off-campus housing, what that means, and all of that fun stuff. So I see that some of you guys are already on-campus housing approved, but if you're someone that has just started looking, you do have a few options when it comes to your living quarters. So you can either choose to live on campus in the dorms, you can either choose to live in a university apartment or off campus. And the difference between the university apartment that you see on the screen, Stadium Heights, versus off campus apartment is that the university apartment, Stadium Heights, is actually affiliated with the university. So it's considered a dorm, but it's not really a dorm, it's apartment style, but all of your bills you would be paying in one platform, which a lot of students like, especially if the student wants to live off campus, have a bigger space, but still have the convenience of being able to pay everything in one central location. A lot of students do go through with university apartment in that sense. Otherwise, we have on campus, which is going to be obviously the closest to your classes, activities on campus, all of that. And then off campus, there's a lot of options as well. I have a few websites that I will recommend for students that are choosing to live off campus. We at MSU do not have a requirement for any students to have to live on campus their first year. I know some universities do that. We don't have that requirement. So ultimately, the decision lies on you, your budget, what you are looking to get out of your college experience. However, I will say that we do find that students that live on campus tend to have a slightly higher GPA, but I honestly feel like that one of the main reasons could be because you're just able to access resources so much faster and quicker because you're closer to those resources. But again, this does not mean that just because you live off campus, you're not going to perform well academically. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. Just statistically is what we found. Now, on campus housing, there is a few options as well. And this is where I think going on our website and doing our virtual 360-degree tour would be really beneficial, because you can really see each of the room types, and then you can see the layout, the room map, which is going to probably help a lot with your decision. And then you can also take a look at our pricing, what that looks like. So the types of rooms, you can either do a standard suite or apartment style, which again is Stadium Heights. All of our obviously rooms are air conditioned. That's one question that we get a lot. I know in the past, like a few years ago, some of our dorms didn't have AC, but now all of them have AC. So there you do have a few options. You can choose to live in a single, economy single. There is like a slight difference in the room layout between these two. A double would mean you're living with one other roommate, one other person in the room with you. A triple is 3 people. The suites are slightly bigger, and the layout of the suites are also slightly different. With our standard rooms, typically how it works is that each floor of the dorm room is going to be all male, all female, and then you have a community bathroom, and you also have like a small community kitchen. However, if you're living on campus, you do have to get a meal plan. That's required. However, if you're someone that, like, if every now and then you miss food from home, you can also always use that community kitchen that's on each floor. It's not massive, but it's not tiny either. You'll be able to, there's going to be like a gas stove, microwave, a fridge, so you have that amenity as well if you wanted to. The suites, however, the layouts are a little bit different, and again, with this, I highly recommend going on our website and doing the tour, the virtual tour. But with the suites, how it works is that it's one bedroom, and then there's a bathroom in the middle. And so typically it's going to, so you're going to be, so there's going to be two people in one room, two people in the other, bathroom in the middle, that just the four of you guys are sharing. But again, there's also a single suite, so that means you have the whole room to yourself and you are sharing a bathroom with one other person. So the pricing kind of depends on that as well. Or if you want to live in Stadium Heights, the university apartment off campus, you have a few options with that as well. You can either stay in a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, or 3-person, 4-person, or 5-person apartment. Yes, and I'm pretty sure that the apartment, everybody has their own individual bathroom. And I'll break these down a little bit further as well as we move along a little bit more. And at any point, if you need me to like pause or if you have questions, let me know. Sharon asked, do dorms have Wi-Fi? Yes, you will have free Wi-Fi access. And I think that's one thing that, again, I will talk a little bit more later about off-campus housing and the things that you have to keep track of where living on campus, if you're someone that prefers convenience, is probably going to be the best bang for your buck, because you're paying one fee and you don't have to worry about anything else. But I'll talk more about that in just a second, but that's a great question. Benjamin from Ghana, thank you, and Anikit from India, 940, thank you for being here. So the on-campus housing process is very simple. You have to obviously be an admitted student. There is a housing application on e-services that you have to fill out. Then you sign the housing contract and you pay a deposit or a prepayment fee that is $300. Typically, if you've paid it and for some reason you don't get your visa and you've already signed the housing contract, I know that there is a specific deadline that housing has, that if you let them know by that deadline, you'll get at least $200 refunded to you or something like that. So I'll tell you guys exactly where all of that information is as well. But the application process is very simple. The other thing also is that with housing, they also do roommate matching. I know with a lot of it, if you are applying at a specific time frame or timeline, they will send you guys a form that asks you questions about you. So your preferences, are you a morning owl? Are you a night owl? Do you like having friends? Like, do you like having parties? Things like that. And then that kind of helps them match you with someone else. However, if you apply early enough, you can actually find roommates on your own. They have a whole different platform where you can find roommates, which I think is really cool, because then it gives you and the other person the ability to kind of be like, oh yeah, I think we'd get along really well, things like that. The university apartment, Stadium Heights, is going to be a 3 to 5 bedroom apartment. It's located just 2 blocks from campus, and if you guys didn't know, students are able to utilize our bus service, and I will also show you guys the bus route and all of that. I think it's really cool. I'm looking for my ID. So the bus is free to use for students. There is typically 8 routes that take place every day at least. And when you get on the bus, you just have to show them your ID card, which is your student ID card, and you will make this during orientation week. And you will show this to the bus driver as you're getting on the bus. That's it. You don't have to pay for it every single time. It's included with your school student fees. So if you're living in Stadium Heights and you're worried about transportation and that you're not going to have a car, again, not everybody gets a car their first year. I didn't get a car until my senior year of undergraduate degree, and until then I just used the bus, I Ubered, and I also had friends that drove, so I would just ask them for a ride and I'd pay them the gas fee or whatever. But essentially, if you're living in the university apartment and you're worried about having to find transportation back, don't worry, there is buses that stops there every day, multiple times a day. The other great thing is it's also going to be fully furnished. If you don't know what that means, you will not have to get most of the furniture in the apartment. Typically, when apartments say they're fully furnished, it means they will likely have a bed, a mattress, a study desk, like a dining table, couch. So it's going to be furnished, so you're just moving in and that's all you have to worry about. If you're moving in an off-campus apartment, most likely it's not going to be furnished, which means when you move in, you have to then think about, okay, so I need to get a bed, mattress, pots and pans, because you need to eat, living room stuff, dining table. You have to get everything. So that's the other thing too that I would encourage you guys to start thinking about. If you're already coming in and you're living off campus, how and when are you going to get your mattress and bed sheets and stuff like that, because you need to have that so you can sleep in your apartment. Until then, you're not going to have anything to sleep on, you're not going to have anything to cook in. So think about that. Make sure you have a plan, so you're not sleeping on the cold hard floor. Definitely not fun. The other great thing about Stadium Heights also too is it is all inclusive, which means utilities are included. I am actually really curious if you guys know what utilities mean. When I say utilities, what comes to mind for you guys? And I actually finally actually changed the chat, so now you can actually chat in the chat box. I'm so sorry. Clearly, I am having a technology issue day where things are just not working. So I'm curious, what do you guys think utilities means, like in this context? Or just utilities in general? Yes, Sharon said power, water, Wi-Fi. Yes, so it's things like that. When you're getting any apartment at all, you have to make sure you're reading the contract correctly, because then in the lease, it's going to say exactly what utilities are covered, what you have to get yourself, and gas, Wi-Fi, electricity, they're all different companies. So you have to sign up with each specific company, and you have to pay that bill every single month separately. I encourage you guys to just turn on auto pay if you can for that stuff, but again, it's really up to you. Yes, so with the Stadium Heights apartment, your utilities is going to be included, so you're just paying one fee no matter how much electricity you're using or whatever. There's the meal plan option as well. This is the first line here, which has the average monthly cost, especially for the off-campus that you see on the screen, I have as $1,200, but it really depends on where you're staying, how many roommates you're going to have, how close or how far. So I put down $1,200 because I was doing some research and I saw on a website it said that the average monthly cost in Mankato apartment is $1,200. So, yes. And then with on-campus housing, it's typically a 1 to 2 semester contract with a $300 deposit. Now, you, with either on campus or off campus, once you've signed a lease, you can't just back out. You can't just be like, oh, you can't just move into an off campus housing, like an apartment, and 1 month in, you're like, I actually don't like it here, I'm just gonna leave. You can't do that. There's a whole process, because if you just leave, you're still stuck with the bills. So be really careful about anything you're signing. Make sure you read it all the way through. Make sure you understand what you're signing, and ask as many questions as possible. With on-campus housing, you do have to get a meal plan. It's required. There's 4 meal plan options, and they're all different prices. So you can kind of test around, I think, the first week or 2 and decide on what meal plan works best for you, and then you'll let housing know that that's the meal plan you want to keep. You'll be living on campus, short walk to classes and other events. Off-campus housing, like I said before, we do have the free bus service. So if you're not going to get a car yet, or I mean, not everybody gets a car their first semester, you don't have to worry about it too much. The on-campus housing, everything is going to be included in one bill that's paid on one platform, which is e-services. If you're living off campus, of course, you have the responsibility of paying your rent to your lease company. Then you also have the utilities that you're likely paying, because anything with late fees, if you forget to pay a bill, you will get like a late fee, and that's just not, they're just not going to take it away. So you have to be really careful and responsible about paying your bills on time, so you're not racking up late fees, or worse, getting evicted because you didn't pay on time. There is this video here as well that Res Life did, which I really like, actually. And they just interviewed international students living on campus in the residential life. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but feel free to look at it.
And I'm from Norway, and I live on campus.
Hi, my name is Desiree. I'm from Venezuela, and I live on campus.
Hello, my name is Mauricio, and I am from Lima, Peru.
I decided to live on campus because it's a nice way to connect to other people, and it's really close to the school, so it won't be that hard to miss classes.
Since this is my first semester at MSU, I just wanted to just see the environment and see if it's a good fit for me, and I wanted to be close by the campus.
My mom actually decided for me. She wanted me to be in a safe environment.
Security is actually a major priority for me. The campus security and MSU security is actually a very good job in this.
One like big thing to get out of the price you pay here is like the security you get.
I feel like it's affordable. You don't have to pay for your water, for gas, or electricity, or anything of that.
So there are a lot of costs that people don't tell you when you live by yourself. Transportation for my friends that live like off campus are like some big problems for them. At the end, those little things make you like most of your life.
Living on campus, it contributes to my success because it's pretty close to everything.
Being in a walking distance to classes means you be punctual.
You guys can watch the video by yourself if you want, but this is a pretty good video. It tells you kind of why people are living on campus. We also did this video with Cyril. The guy in the video is Cyril. He used to be our International Student Association president a couple years ago. He's graduated now, but we did this video with him. He lived off campus, and so we did this kind of average monthly budget of an international student at MSU video. It's very short, but I think it's going to give you guys some sort of idea about what living off campus might look like. But again, his situation is different and your situation might be different. So,
hi friends, my name is Sorel. I'm a microbiology major and I'm a senior year at Minnesota State University. In terms of expenses, I pay rent from an apartment complex called The Grove. It's a 2-bed, 1-bath, and I pay about $570.25 per month, so that's split between me and my roommate. And for utilities, Water is included. Water and electricity are included. We pay for sewage. That's about like $20 a month. I also have a car. Insurance for that is a little under $130 a month. For gas, I can spend maybe like $50 to $60 a month on gas. It depends on where I'm going and how far I'm driving and stuff like that. Comes to entertainment, I have an Xbox. I pay for a subscription to be able to play games online. That's about $10 a month. That's not necessary, but it's just something I like to do. For like going out and stuff like that, I like going out with my friends. Usually we just go out to eat. So I'll say maybe like $50 to $60 a month on going out and eating with friends. I have a pet as well. I have a cat. I'm not sure how much money her food is because I buy everything in bulk, but like a 32-pound bag of food was like $40, and that can last months. So shopping, yeah, I don't usually go shopping. I like to thrift, so that's usually pretty cheap. I'll maybe go shopping like at the start of every semester, maybe, I don't know, like $100 maybe on clothes at the start of every semester. I don't usually go out often. I like to stay in, but when I do go out, maybe we'll just go out for like drinks or food with my friends. Maybe like $50 a month for that. There's some pretty cheap places outside. We'll usually just like share the cost. And then when it comes to like actually eating, I go to the pantry every week to save some money. I also like to buy like in bulk rice and chicken and stuff like that from Sam's Club, just because it's cheaper to buy in bulk. Maybe like, again, because I get most of my food from the pantry, maybe like $50 a month on food that I actually have to pay for. And water, I just drink tap water and juice sometimes. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in coming to Minnesota State University.
Again, this is kind of more Cyril's experience and his costs. I know he mentioned the pantry, so a lot of you guys are probably not going to know what that means. So probably this is one of, in my opinion, one of the best resources that we have on campus, and I always let students that are coming in know, whether it's international students or domestic students, is on campus we have a space called the Maverick Food Pantry. This is where you can go to get groceries for free. It's a completely free service for students to go and get stuff. So they have stuff from, perishable items to non-perishable items. They have like different kinds of frozen meats, like more staple ingredients like rice, beans, condiments. Literally, they have everything. And this is completely free for students to utilize. And so I highly encourage you guys to go there and actually utilize that service, because a lot of students don't know about it and they just never use it. But if you can save money that way, honestly, I utilized that service a lot when I was a student, because it's free food. I'm not going to say no to free food. So I would always get some stuff that I needed, staple ingredients. And that also helped me save, costs on getting groceries every week or every month. So, all right, renting 101. So this is in the case that you're living off campus. There's a few things you need to know. Again, this is very information heavy. So at any point, if you have any questions, put it in the chat and I will answer it right away. Renting terms, and you're going to hear these terms a lot when you're here in the States. A lease is the contract that you sign with your landlord that essentially has your name, your information, what unit or what apartment, and how long, for how much. Everything is in that lease. And typically a lease is extremely long. It's a lot of words. It's many, many pages. But just because it's many, many pages doesn't mean you don't read it through. So if you're really confused, you can always have, your friends help you, your parent, your guardian, a sibling, whoever is able to help you. But what I will say is to make sure you read through the whole lease very carefully before you sign it and send it back. Because once you sign it and you send it back, that's it. You're locked in now. Leases are generally a year long with living off campus. I don't hear much or many that are like just 6 months or less. I know there are some apartments that rent monthly. It's like a month by month, but that's also a little bit more expensive from my experience and what I've researched. But typically your lease is going to be 12 months long, and leases do not always include utilities. Utilities are basic services, and a lot of you guys already answered it correctly, such as water, sewer, electric, gas, trash, recycling, heat also. So you will have to sign up for these utilities, and this is all going to be in the lease when you're signing it. Make sure you read and see what utilities are included in the rent money that you're paying and what you have to get separately. Most apartments will not include all utilities, and personally for my apartment I pay for gas, electricity, and Wi-Fi. Water, trash is included with my lease. A lease is a legally binding contract, and you cannot just leave the apartment midway through the lease. If for some reason if you are choosing to leave that lease and go somewhere else, you have to find someone else to take your lease. It's a whole thing, so just remember that. The lease will also include other relevant information, such as, are you allowed to own pets? If you're someone that wants to get a cat or a dog when you're here, when you're signing the lease, you're going to want to make sure you read through that to make sure that you can actually own pets. And if you can own pets, some apartments will say that you can just pay a one-time flat fee, or I've also seen some apartments where they charge a monthly fee to have your pet there. So just so you know. And then there's also going to be other information like noise violations, what are quiet hours, things of that nature. You could also be asked to get renter's insurance, and that is going to be in addition to obviously the 12-month lease that you're signing. The renter's insurance is going to be a separate thing. I actually do have to get renter's insurance for my apartment. I don't mind it. It's not a large sum for the renter's insurance that I'm paying for right now, but I don't mind, because I'm like, it also gives me peace of mind that if something were to go wrong, I have some sort of protection. But not all apartments ask you to get renter's insurance, so read your lease. With that, that was a lot that I threw at you guys, but that's kind of the most of what you need to know. I will show you guys a website that I think is really cool if you're deciding, or if you're choosing to live off campus, or you kind of want to do a little research of your own. So let me pull that up as well. But for those, the first day that you can enter the US is July 17, 2026. So if you guys are still waiting for your visa, or if you already have your visa and you're making travel plans, you have to make sure you consider this and you take this into consideration. Orientation dates are Monday, August 17th through Friday, August 21st. It's mandatory. You do not have to RSVP or anything like that, but it's always really appreciated when you guys let us know if you have gotten your visa or something like that, because then it lets us know. We do have a few upcoming webinars as well as Instagram lives. Our Instagram lives are very informal. It's more a time for us to kind of get to know each other. We call it our Coffee with KIC series. So we get to hang out with each other. You can ask questions. Our webinars are very structured, and so the Instagram lives are it's a space where it's more, we can have more like back and forth conversation versus here. But you can take a look at some of our upcoming webinars on here. However, if you have the calendar, the full list is going to be on there, and at this point you guys should already have that. And then with that, I do want to show you guys campus housing. All right, so this is the website that I am talking about. Let me change that out. All right, so this is really cool because this is actually through our official website, and so you can access it from our housing section. But what is great that I love is when you click this, you can actually see places that are available at this time. A few things that you can do, obviously this is our campus, right? So you can actually go by proximity, so see what's closest. If you want to live somewhere walking distance, this is a great way to do that, because obviously the further up you go around here, this is actually downtown Mankato, so which would be a little bit further away from campus. But if you're looking somewhere close, I am just kind of going off of this one here, because why not? It's close. But you can click on that, and then it will tell you what the prices are, how many people can be in that particular unit, how much it's going to cost. So this one looks like it's 3 bedroom, 1 bath, and it's $600 per bedroom. So that's going to be per person. What else does it tell me? If I were to go further down, okay, utilities and essential, it says, all right, so there's a trash fee that's included in the rent, but from what I am seeing here, I will likely need to sign up for the other utilities. It does not say much. If you're very interested in a unit and you want to reach out to them, this also has their contact information right here. Okay, so this is where I would go typically, is amenities. Okay, they have internet, dishwasher, AC, need that. Individual leases, so you're only signing per bedroom, you're not signing for the whole apartment, which is nice. There's a washer and dryer in unit. Oh, I love apartments with washers and dryers inside the apartment, so you're not dragging your laundry out. But most apartments will not have washer and dryer in unit, so this is actually nice. It says it's near shuttle, near bus stops, so even though it's really close to campus, if you wanted to take the bus, you can. If you have a car, you get a free parking pass. They have study lounges, which is awesome. They have a fitness room. I was able to actually visit this building because they just constructed this new one. This building is newer. They had another, it's connected to another one that was smaller and older. So this building that you see on the picture is new. We were actually able to do a tour from our office, and it's new, obviously, so everything's really nice. Their study spaces are really cool. They have individual study spaces, and they also have a conference rooms that you can do group projects with your classmates in. The other thing I really liked though is that they also have a bike room, so if you have a bicycle, you can store it in the bike room, which may not seem like much, but in the winter time, obviously it snows in Minnesota, so you don't want to have your bicycle outside in the snow. It's gonna rust. So this was really cool, but again, this is one way you can do it. The other thing too that you can do is you could search by location. You could also search by a price point. So if you're someone that doesn't want to pay more than $500, you could see what's available. Currently, it doesn't look like there's an apartment available within that price range, and it could also be because it's not available for lease at this time. And you could also search by how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, if you want to be in a studio. If I do this, it's probably, looks like there's no studios at this time either, but if you do 1 bedroom, there's probably going to be some. But I would make sure to keep checking this website. Typically, leases go from July to July of the next year. Typically, that's how leases work. So right now it's still June, so most people are still within that unit. So if you don't see that many, that's why. The other great thing too is you could also search by whether you want to stay in a house, condo, a duplex. It's really up to you, and there's a lot of other things that you could search for as well. I'm going to copy this over to the chat box. And I am going to stop sharing my screen. I do see some questions, so let me quickly get to those. Lordina, where can we access the recording of the webinar after the session? So it's going to be on our YouTube channel. Typically we go live on YouTube the same time the webinar is happening. And so if you go to our YouTube page, I'll put that in the chat as well. The recording will be available almost immediately after I end the webinar. Wow, if I can actually paste this. All right, perfect. There you go. And when will we typically hear back from Stadium Heights or U Square about housing request? So if you've already applied for U Square, I would honestly contact. So Aniket, if you're waiting to hear back and it's been a while, it's really hard for me to give you a timeline because I obviously don't work for Residential Life or U Square. And most of those places, like whether it's on Res Life or off campus, they always have their own little policy. If you're looking for Stadium Heights, obviously, which is through our university, I would reach out to reslife at mnsu.edu. And then U Square, I would find their email and send them an email and just say, hey, this is what's going on. Peter, I would like to know whether my I-20 is ready. So have you checked your math mail? Because that is where the decision is sent. Once your I-20 is ready, or if we cannot issue you your I-20, that's where it goes. So check your math mail. If you have questions, about where your I-20 might be, I would reach out to international@mnsu.edu. I don't issue any I-20s. We have a different staff member for that. So if you email that I just sent with your tech ID and kind of your questions, someone will be able to get back to you. All right. Oh wait, there is one more question. Having paid the prepayment, is that a guarantee that you will get some housing? Yes. If you pay the deposit, they will let you know. If for some reason they're full or something, they will let you know. However, you may still be able to get, you may not get your first choice, but you will likely get some housing. But if you have questions about their availability right now and whether you're for sure going to get a room, I would reach out to Res Life, like I said, and just kind of inquire what that is looking like at this time in terms of space. All right, well, good luck, Aniket. I hope you hear back. It is almost mid-June, so I'm hopeful that you'll hear back next week at some point. All right. I know it's very late for a lot of you guys, so I will end the live, but again, you guys have my WhatsApp, and then I will see you guys in our next webinar, and I will likely have someone else with me, a guest as well. Do you know any good places to get cycles? So that's a great question. So if you're someone that enjoys thrifting, sometimes thrift stores, they always have hidden gems. I love thrifting, so sometimes they will have bicycles. However, there are some spots downtown. There's a spot called Nikolitsky, and biking. They have bicycles there that you can purchase. There's also some other spots in town, but that's the place that comes to mind right away when you say bicycle. Sometimes you're also able to get bicycles off Facebook Marketplace. People are always selling their stuff. And you'll notice that a lot of people utilize Facebook Marketplace quite a bit to buy and sell stuff. However, always be safe and always make sure you're if you're meeting someone and getting stuff, make sure you're meeting in a public space. Make sure you don't just give them your number and stuff like that. So be really safe if you are going to be getting stuff online through Facebook Marketplace or anything like that. Always meet in a public space, preferably that has a lot of other people. But thrifting is always a good idea because you'll be able to get a good deal. Otherwise, you can try that biking place once you're here. Good question. All right, guys, get some rest. Thank you so much for joining me today. And then, yeah, I will see you guys in our next webinar, but I hope you guys are safe. Good luck with your visa interviews. Keep us updated. If you got your visa or anything like that, please let me know. We would love to celebrate. We would love to celebrate your getting your visa. So that is a great question, Aniket. I am putting my work WhatsApp number. And again, if you're messaging me on WhatsApp, any of you guys, please be a little patient because I might not be able to get back to you right away because again, it's my work phone. So thank you for joining, Tracy. Thank you, Michelle. It's so nice. I appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the fall. And thank you for joining all of our sessions. It really means a lot. And thank you, Tracy. Have a good night, everybody.